Did you know that Batman Returns was never supposed to exist the way audiences remember it? The original script sat untouched for years, with a different director, a lighter tone, and a penguin that looked nothing like the grotesque creature Danny DeVito became. When Tim Burton finally took control, Warner Brothers expected a sequel that would sell Happy Meals and action figures. Burton gave them a psychosexual fever dream that made parents flee theaters. These are every single detail you missed in Batman Returns. Number 20. The director watching his nightmare come true. When the Penguin crashes the tree lighting ceremony and chaos erupts across Gotham Plaza, the camera sweeps past panicking crowds fleeing the Penguin army. Most viewers focus on Danny DeVito's entrance or the waddling birds marching through snow, but buried in that crowd, visible for exactly 3 seconds, stands Tim Burton himself. Long dark coat, blank expression, the same face he wore on set every day. Burton insisted on appearing in the scene, but refused to tell Warner Brothers where he'd hidden himself. The studio only found him during final editing. It wasn't vanity, it was Burton standing inside his own nightmare, watching Gotham burn exactly the way he'd always imagined it should. Number 19. The building that doesn't exist anymore. Shrek's department store, the Gothic tower where Selina Kyle works, looks like it's been rotting in Gotham for 100 years. That's because the building was already dying when production found it. The exterior shots used locations around Olvera Street in Los Angeles, but the main tower was a condemned power plant in Burbank scheduled for demolition. Bo Welch, Burton's production designer, spent 2 weeks turning the decaying shell into a twisted Art Deco monument. 3 months after filming Wrapped, the building was gone, demolished. Every shot of Shrek's tower captures something that stopped existing the moment the movie finished. The location died with the production. Number 18. The suit glued to Pfeiffer's skin. When Selina Kyle becomes Catwoman, she stitches together a shiny black latex suit that became one of the most iconic costumes ever put on film. But here's what most viewers never realize. It wasn't designed to come off between takes. Costume designer Bob Ringwood created it by vacuum sealing latex directly onto Michelle Pfeiffer's body. The process took hours. Pfeiffer stood motionless while technicians dusted her with talcum powder, then glued and stitched latex sections onto her skin piece by piece. Once filming started, she couldn't sit down, couldn't use a bathroom without help, couldn't take a full breath. The lack of air circulation made her dizzy. The suit split open during multiple takes, and crew had to repair it while Pfeiffer remained trapped inside. Number 17. DeVito spent 4 months becoming unrecognizable. The Penguin wasn't makeup, it was a complete transformation that swallowed Danny DeVito's life for the entire shoot. Every day, DeVito arrived at the makeup trailer at 2 in the morning for a process that lasted 4 to 6 hours. Vanille, the prosthetic artist who would later win an Oscar for Mrs. Doubtfire, led a team that applied layers of foam latex to DeVito's face, neck, hands, and torso. The flippers glued to his fingers made holding anything impossible. DeVito later recalled that the worst part wasn't the hours in the chair, it was the isolation. Once the prosthetics were on, he couldn't eat solid food, couldn't drink without a straw, couldn't touch his own face. He spent entire days trapped inside the Penguin's body. Number 16. Burton weaponized Christmas on purpose. Batman Returns is one of the only superhero films set during Christmas, and that choice wasn't about holiday box office. It was deliberate cruelty. During early script meetings, Warner Brothers suggested setting the film in summer to match the June release date. Burton refused. He wanted the contrast between twinkling lights and brutal violence, between Christmas cheer and intimate threat, between family traditions and the Penguin's abandonment in the snow. The falling snow throughout Gotham isn't peaceful, it's suffocating. The tree lighting ceremony becomes a massacre. Mistletoe becomes a weapon when Max Shrek corners Selina underneath it. Burton told his crew that Christmas was the perfect backdrop because it would make audiences feel guilty for enjoying the violence. The holiday setting doesn't soften Batman Returns, it makes every disturbing moment land harder. Number 15. Keaton's Batman disappeared for entire shooting days. Michael Keaton spent less time on the Batman Returns set than any other principal cast member. Tim Burton told Keaton that Batman needed to feel like a ghost haunting his own movie, present in moments of violence but absent from the chaos his presence creates. Keaton would film his Batman sequences in concentrated bursts, sometimes knocking out an entire week's worth of material in 2 days, then vanish from set for stretches lasting 10 days or more. During the entire 4-month shoot, Keaton never attended a single day of filming that didn't require Batman's physical presence. Burton later explained that Keaton's absence made his presence more powerful. When Batman finally appeared on screen, audiences felt the weight of someone who'd been lurking just outside the frame. Number 14. Pfeiffer's hands still carry the scars. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman wields a bullwhip with terrifying precision, decapitating mannequins and snatching objects from across rooms. That skill came from 3 months of brutal training with Anthony DeLonghi, a professional whip master practicing 6 hours daily. DeLonghi later recalled that Pfeiffer refused to let stunt doubles handle any whip work, insisting on performing every crack herself. The leather whip wrapped around her wrists during failed attempts, tearing skin and leaving permanent marks. Pfeiffer's hands injured so often during training that she wrapped them in gauze between sessions. The iconic shot where Catwoman takes out 4 mannequin heads with one whip crack took 17 takes. By the final attempt, Pfeiffer's hands were shaking from exhaustion. Number 13. The Penguin Army that refused to cooperate. Penguin Army waddling through Gotham's streets became one of the film's most memorable images, but getting real penguins to march on command nearly destroyed the production schedule. Animal handler Mike Ehrman brought in king penguins, chinstrap penguins, and little blue penguins, each species with different temperaments. The penguins wouldn't march in formation. They ignored every cue. They defecated constantly on the sets, ruining takes and forcing lengthy cleanups. The refrigerated soundstage built to keep the birds comfortable cost over $200,000, but they still overheated under film lights. Burton eventually gave up trying to control them. Watch the Gotham Plaza attack sequence closely. The penguins are genuinely chaotic, waddling in random directions, bumping into each other, completely ignoring their marks. The coordination you see is editing magic. Number 12. The deleted scene too disturbing even for Burton. Batman Returns cut several sequences that test audiences found too disturbing, but one scene was so grotesque that Tim Burton himself pulled it. The original script showed Selina Kyle lying broken in the alley after her fall from Shrek's building, surrounded by stray cats. But the cats don't just gather around her, they start biting her, tearing flesh, licking her open wounds while she's conscious but paralyzed. The entire sequence was filmed with practical effects. Test audiences reacted with audible horror. Parents covered their children's eyes. Burton cut the footage immediately, replacing it with the version where cats simply circle Selina before the camera cuts away. The deleted material reportedly still sits in Warner Brothers vaults. The studio has never released it. Number 11. Walken improvised his own death. When Max Schreck gets electrocuted by Catwoman during the film's climax, Christopher Walken's performance becomes a grotesque full-body seizure, all twitching limbs and contorted facial expressions. None of that was choreographed. Walken, who had researched actual electrocution footage, told Burton he wanted to improvise the death based on what he'd learned. The script just described Schreck getting kissed while Catwoman presses a taser to his mouth. Walken turned it into a performance where his whole body convulses while he maintains eye contact with Pfeiffer, his face twisting through what looks like real agony. Burton just told Walken when to start and let the camera roll. The entire death sequence happened in one unbroken take. Walken's commitment made the scene so disturbing that censors in several countries demanded cuts before approving the film. Number 10. Pfeiffer put a live bird in her mouth. The moment when Catwoman catches a bird and places it between her lips before letting it fly away became one of the images audiences couldn't shake. Michelle Pfeiffer insisted on using a real bird instead of a prop. Pfeiffer spent days working with a trained parakeet, slowly getting the bird comfortable being held near her face. When it came time to film, Pfeiffer gently placed the live parakeet into her mouth, holding it for roughly 3 seconds before releasing it. The bird was never harmed, but the image of Pfeiffer's mouth wrapped around living feathers disturbed people in ways Burton clearly wanted. Pfeiffer suggested it as a way to show Catwoman's transformation, pushing past anything recognizably human. Number 9. The Penguin death rumors nobody can kill. Shortly after Batman Returns opened, animal rights groups started spreading reports that penguins had died during production. The claims said birds overheated under set lights, some drowned filming the sewer sequences, and several got injured from rocket backpacks strapped to their bodies. Warner Brothers issued denials immediately. Mike Ehrman, the animal handler, insisted that no penguins were harmed and that American Humane Association monitors watched everything on set. But the rumors wouldn't die. They kept circulating for years, fueled by the film's dark reputation and the disturbing image of penguins waddling with missiles attached. To this day, some audiences believe penguins died making Batman Returns. Not a shred of evidence supports it. Number 8. McDonald's abandoned the film and ate millions in losses. Warner Brothers had negotiated a massive promotional deal with McDonald's for Batman Returns, planning Happy Meals with Penguin and Catwoman toys time to release. McDonald's spent millions producing the toys, printing boxes, and creating advertising materials before anyone from the company watched what Tim Burton had made. When McDonald's executives finally screened the finished film 3 weeks before release, they panicked. The intimate undertones, the graphic violence, the penguin biting through a man's nose and spitting blood, all deemed inappropriate for Happy Meals. Burton refused to change a single frame. McDonald's pulled the entire Happy Meal campaign, absorbing millions in sunk costs rather than associate their brand with the film. The toys were never released. Number 7. Parents organized protests outside theaters opening weekend. When Batman Returns opened on June 19th, 1992, it walked into a firestorm Warner Brothers couldn't control. Parent advocacy groups, religious organizations, and family nonprofits organized coordinated protests outside movie theaters in cities across the country, holding signs warning families the film was too violent and intimate despite the PG-13 rating. Some theater chains got bomb threats from fringe groups claiming the movie promoted Satanism. The protests made national news. Television broadcasts showed footage of angry parents blocking theater entrances, demanding refunds, shouting at people in line. The controversy helped Batman Returns pull in over $45 million opening weekend because outrage fuels curiosity, but it also guaranteed that Warner Brothers would never give Tim Burton that creative freedom again. Number 6. Pfeiffer's 15-foot fall without safety equipment. During the fight between Batman and Catwoman inside the department store, Pfeiffer's character does a stunning backflip off a second-story platform, falling roughly 15 feet before landing in a perfect crouch. That fall was completely real, and Michelle Pfeiffer did it herself with no cables, no wires, no digital help. Chuck Picerni, the film's stunt coordinator, later recalled that Pfeiffer insisted on performing the stunt despite safety concerns. She trained for 2 weeks with gymnastics coaches, drilling the backflip timing and perfecting the landing technique. Pfeiffer nailed the backflip in one take, landing in her crouched pose while the latex suit held together. The shot carries raw adrenaline because it's an actress who just threw herself off a platform in a suit that barely let her breathe. Number 5. Keaton started doubting everything by the end of filming. By the time Batman Returns wrapped, Michael Keaton was privately telling close friends he wasn't sure they'd made the right film. People close to Keaton reported that he felt Burton had pushed the material too far, sacrificing the heroic center audiences connected with. Keaton was uncomfortable with how little Batman appeared compared to screen time given to villains. He questioned whether the intimate content and graphic violence would drive away fans who'd made the first film successful. Those concerns proved prophetic. When Warner Brothers developed Batman Forever and brought in Joel Schumacher to replace Burton, they offered Keaton $20 million to return. He walked away from the franchise without hesitation. Keaton said later that once Burton left, staying made no sense. Number 4. The 12 cuts Burton refused to make. Before Batman Returns got its final PG-13 rating, Warner Brothers executives watched an early assembly and came back with a list of 12 specific scenes they wanted removed or shortened. The studio flagged the Penguin biting through a man's nose, Catwoman licking Batman's face, Max Shreck's electrocution death, and several moments where the Penguin makes vulgar comments. Burton said no to cutting any of it. The standoff lasted weeks, with executives warning Burton the film was heading toward an R rating that would kill box office. The studio eventually backed down, but not before forcing Burton to trim seconds from the nose-biting scene and darken the lighting during Shrek's death to hide details. Everything else that made test audiences uncomfortable, that horrified parents, that triggered protests, Burton protected completely. Number 3. The ending Burton cut because mystery felt stronger. The version of Batman Returns that played in theaters ends with complete ambiguity about whether Selina Kyle survived. After the confrontation with Shrek, she vanishes, and the final moments show just her silhouette appearing briefly before credits roll. But Burton filmed a completely different ending that answered the question definitively. The alternate version showed Selina walking through Gotham in her regular clothes, face scarred but clearly alive, watching Bruce Wayne from across a street before she turns and disappears into a crowd. Test audiences hated having the mystery solved. They wanted the uncertainty. Burton agreed and cut the entire sequence, replacing it with the shadowy silhouette that keeps Catwoman's fate mythic. Burton had always planned for Catwoman to survive, but he realized that leaving her fate uncertain made the story more powerful. Number 2. Burton walked away from $50 million. After Batman Returns earned over $260 million worldwide despite controversy and protests, Warner Brothers immediately greenlit a third film and came to Burton with an offer designed to be impossible to refuse. The proposed sequel, tentatively titled Batman Continues, would feature the Riddler and potentially bring Catwoman back. Burton's deal was reportedly worth $50 million. He turned it down flat. People who knew Burton said he told the studio he'd already taken Batman as far into darkness as the character could go. Warner Brothers brought in Joel Schumacher to deliver a lighter, more family-friendly vision. It was about understanding when a story had said everything it needed to say. Number 1. The real reason Keaton never played Batman again. When Michael Keaton walked away from Batman Forever and the $20 million paycheck Warner Brothers offered, most coverage focused on his loyalty to Tim Burton's darker vision, but the truth ran deeper. People close to Keaton said he made his decision after reading Joel Schumacher's script and realizing the studio had fundamentally misunderstood what made Batman Returns matter. Keaton saw that as a complete betrayal of everything Burton had fought to protect. The darkness wasn't a mistake that needed correcting, it was the entire point. Keaton walked away because coming back would mean participating in erasing everything that made his Batman actually mean something. Sometimes the bravest choice isn't cashing the check. Batman Returns didn't become a beloved cult classic by playing safe. It survives because Tim Burton made a film that that respected darkness, that trusted audiences to handle genuinely disturbing imagery, that refused to sand down its sharpest edges just to move merchandise. Michelle Pfeiffer scarred her hands and sealed herself into latex that wouldn't let her breathe. Danny DeVito pushed his body past heat exhaustion inside prosthetics that turned him unrecognizable. Burton went to war with his own studio to protect every frame that made executives uncomfortable. What's your favorite moment? Catwoman's transformation in that alley? The Penguin's final walk into the water? Let me know in the comments. And if this reminded you why Burton's vision still matters, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.